Welcome to our home in Atlanta, Georgia.
Come on in.
My name is Bradley Hüsemann-Odom, and I'm the Chief Creative Officer for Bradley Odom Interiors in Dixon.
My name is Peter Hüsemann-Odom, and I'm the Chief Design Officer at Bradley Odom for Dixon.
We're based here in Atlanta, Georgia, but we sort of work all over. And we tend to have projects in Castros, North Carolina, Highlands. We've done a couple of projects in Florida, as far as Seattle as well.
We often get asked by our clients what our design style is, and I think it's an interesting question because we love spaces that feel lived in. We always get informed by the architecture of the house, how the clients live. We love collecting different pieces, old, new, and kind of like blend it all together. I think timeless, curated, sophisticated spaces that you want to be in, that you want your friends to be in, your loved ones, and your pets, of course, as well.
We're here in the entrance of our home. We wanted to create this more intimate space. It's sort of a departure from what you'll see throughout the rest of the house. It's the one place we sort of created that little dark and moody moment that we're known for, but also just the perfect place to showcase Brett Smith, which is a local Atlanta artist who created this beautiful piece for me probably, 8 or 9 years ago. And this is called Scaffoldings, and it's based off of buildings in Antwerp, which is actually where I was sourcing for Dixon when he called me and said, I made you something, and it was this. So I feel like this is the perfect spot for us. But as we sort of walk through, what's nice about this little area here is it sort of opens up a little bit, and although I still sort of consider it part of our entrance, there's some pieces in here that we really covet and love a lot. Mainly our kit ruther. We work with a local gallery here in town, Sandler Hudson, and our really dear friend, Robin Sandler, who helps us curate a lot of our art. And I had wanted a kit ruther for a very long time, and then once Peter and I came together, he also had a great love for kit, and we were able to acquire this piece, which I think is just sort of the perfect backdrop for this area. There's some Dixon pieces in here, of course. This is our Bates console. This is an open area that sort of invites you into the rest of the house. So we're here transitioning into our living room area, where we spend a great deal of time just hanging out with the dogs. I love the adjacency to the kitchen because Peter can be cooking dinner, I'm hanging out on the daybed. There's some great things in here that we've picked up in many of our trips, but namely High Point. We are shopping today at the Antiques and Design Center at High Point Market in High Point, North Carolina. So there are vendors from literally all over the country with vintage, with antique, with one-of-a-kinds. You'll find anything from like old grain sacks that we've sometimes made pillows out of, to gilded mirrors, beautiful art, and some really great mid-century finds as well. Collected by Schwung is a curated environment of true vintage and antique one-of-a-kinds from all over the world, but mostly things like Moroccan pottery to Polish lighting, Belgian furniture. It's curated by Dominique and Rudy, who have been in the business for over 30 years. We actually come 3 days early just to be at Schwung and in line. They usually open at like 9 a.m. and people start lining up as early as 7 a.m. Rain, cold, snow, it doesn't matter. People are lining up because you truly can't miss the experience here that Rudy and Dominique have curated. I've been doing business with these guys for about 10 years now, and it's just like truly an experience from hospitality and the way that they talk about their products to the things that they've curated all over Belgium and Poland, and they make some of their own things in Morocco, and they just do such a beautiful job of presentation. They have just recently moved to this new space, so it's actually my first time to see it, and it's so cool. So it's 313 space, and it's now the bottom level is all collected by Schwung. And then the top level is all these curated booths that they put together of different vendors from all over the country. I think one of the most interesting things about Schwung is it's that place too, where you can always find something and turn it into something else.
I think we both get super excited going to High Point at least twice a year because it is almost like shopping with friends and family because you always meet someone from the industry. There's always someone that you know. You usually have a great relationship with some of the vendors, and I think it's always fun. I always get super excited when we go to High Point because we have kind of like our routine of places that we go to. People get excited when they see us, I don't know, waiting in line, and we have a coffee. There's somehow like a buzz that people get excited to see each other. It's almost like a reunion twice a year.
There's some great things in here that we've picked up in many of our trips, from the spears that bring down the ceiling a bit, if you will. And so we thought that this was a really great, interesting way to do that.
I think we also have art in here on the wall that we found in High Point, North Carolina. Other pieces that we have in here are pieces that we collected over time. And some we actually made with this coffee table that usually ends up being scattered all over the room because everyone uses this as a drinking table.
There are things that we really love in here and cherish. I remember being on a buying trip actually with a client in Paris, and I called home and I said to Peter, I said, "Oh my God, I found this day bed." And he was like, "What are we going to do with this day bed?" I said, "I have no idea, but it's a Jacques net, and it's a once in a lifetime kind of find. And this is probably one of the best things we've ever purchased in just terms of like, God, we use the heck out of this thing, and we're here every day." And
it's probably like not really a typical thing that you would find in a living room, but we like the idea of a day bed, and we said, okay, let's just give it a try since we love this piece so much. We didn't really have a home for it in the beginning, but then it ended up being like the perfect piece of furniture that we kind of like build the room around. And
clearly the dogs love it.
The dogs are allowed on it, and so usually by the end of the evening, we all four on the day bed. It is the perfect size, and we can sit opposite of each other and can just download from the day. So that's great.
Probably my absolute favorite thing in the home, other than my husband and the dogs, is the Don Cooper piece here that we acquired a couple of years ago. Again, working with Sandler Hudson in Atlanta, but Don's a local Atlanta artist in his 80s, and all this is done by hand with pencil. And I love this piece. It just evokes so much intrigue and curiosity. I'm glad it found like the perfect spot here.
Another piece that we feel very passionate about, which is actually one of our latest acquisitions of our pieces of art, is this Krista Koch piece. She also works with Sandler Hudson in Atlanta, and we saw her pieces at the art show in Atlanta last year, which we loved. And we kind of like kept talking about this piece for a long time, and this has just been added to our collection in the past few weeks.
Moving into the dining room, I always say that this is like a perfect area to sort of also encompass what we do at Dixon Rye, because it's a mix of old and new and metal and wood and found and all the things. So obviously there's the art, which we love so much, but this is Rocio Rodriguez, a Cuban artist who lives here in Atlanta and has for many years. I started acquiring her work probably before any other art in the house many years ago, and then fortunately my husband equally loves it, so we've acquired some together since then.
The funny thing also about the art was that we had originally, I think, 5 pieces since Bradley started to adding more and more to it, and then we moved to this loft and said, okay, the grid of 5 doesn't really work, so we had to add another piece, which of course was great for the artist, great for the gallery, and also great for this space. So that's why we ended up with this grid. And then we have our dining table and bench. We really like this idea of a bench to kind of open up the space. And then we have these 4 brass chairs that we used to own, or we owned before already, and then they were upholstered in a different fabric, and we just reupholstered them in this geometric pattern that kind of like ties back to our living space. And then of course the mixture with old and new, so we kind of have this very interesting centerpiece of these architectural pillars that we found also in High Point, North Carolina during market and took home in the back of our trunk. So if we really love something, we take it home immediately.
You know, the Lion console we love, and we've actually had a lot of people that seen this want to buy this from us, but we're holding tight and love this piece a lot that we found in High Point when shopping for the store.
Yeah, and other pieces that we can point out here is the little mushroom table lamp that we found during our travels to Charleston, and then ended up being a gift from Bradley for Christmas. And so that was a nice addition here in our home. And I think another modern element that we have here in this space is this wall sconce that basically also is a functional piece because, of course, it adds like light to the dining room area. But we really wanted to create a space that somehow brings down the height of the space or like a dining room area. And so we thought it would be interesting to use like a wall sconce that feels like a connection to the art that's hanging on the wall while still creating somehow a nice layer for the dining room area. And so there we went for a more, I would say, mid-century piece that I think overall makes the space complete and functional. Now we are in the kitchen. This is also a space that we love, where we actually had to work with the existing architecture of the space. And so we kept the kitchen kind of like what it is. We changed some hardware, but what we really wanted to emphasize here is the bar stools that we designed and made locally with a carpenter, which are in this beautiful walnut. Then another area that we can point out is kind of like this bar moment here, because usually it's Bradley on this side who makes the drinks after work, and I'm already preparing dinner on the other side of the kitchen. But it's really the nice thing about this loft space that the kitchen still feels somewhat connected to the living room area, so someone can lounge on the day bed, or we can entertain while everyone is kind of like lounging in the living room, and the other person who is still in the kitchen preparing the meal feels connected to this space. Okay, let's move on to the downstairs bathroom. So we are here in this downstairs bathroom, and this bathroom doesn't have any windows, so it's a very tight and dark space. And so we kind of let that also inform how we wanted to design this space. So we added this beautiful Schumacher wallpaper and painted the ceiling in this beautiful green. And we didn't really want to or wanted to add another investment for a new vanity. So what we did is we just hit the cabinetry with this cafe curtain that kind of like is a great design element as well, since you don't really need to access that space most of the time. And then otherwise we added layers of art in the space with pieces that we already previously owned.
This is our bedroom. Such a cool space up here. We're able to just lay in bed and have all this natural light that sort of comes this way. And we have really been able to curate up here just a mix of things that we love. There, the bed being from a High Point vendor, Varellin, which we sell at Dixon Rye, as well as the chest are also Dixon Rye. The lamps are from one of my favorite lamp makers, Paul Schneider, out of Dallas, Texas, who was a big supporter of Dixon Rye in the very beginning and let us carry his lamps. And then obviously the art, which we've collected together over the years, which is just a mixture of high-end fine art as well as just like really inexpensive flea market finds. So it's just a really great mix. But we really love the space and enjoy spending a lot of time up here.
And I think the gallery wall is also a good reflection of how we collect things over time. And so there are pieces that Bradley previously owned, there are pieces that I previously owned and then shipped over here. Things that have meaning, something like some of the pieces we actually gave to each other, like for anniversaries, like pieces from Jackson Fine Art. And yeah, I think it's just a good reflection of how this whole space came together.
One of my favorite pieces on the gallery wall is this piece here. And it's actually a postcard from John Darien in New York. And on the back, Peter had written me a love note, and I had it framed, and now it has this sort of prominent place in the gallery wall. And then we have to talk about, Peter actually has a piece of photography here when we were in traveling, and we were in Hobart, Mexico, the crane in the sky is actually a tiny little crane standing in the ocean at late at night. And Peter shot that with his iPhone, and so it's a piece that it's one of 25, and we sell the others at Dixon. Here we are in our closet. It's not hard to determine which side is whose. Peter's, of course, is ironed and crisp, and mine's probably a little messier, but that's just how we live.
Well, I think working in fashion, I think we both love fashion. It's great to have such a big closet and also like daylight in your closet. We had this table which we found in High Point, North Carolina, which we fell in love with, which I think was like one of the first purchases that we did when we traveled to High Point the first time. And it was sitting in the window with sculptures in our previous place. And then we found the home here in our closet and loved it really like as a centerpiece in the closet to kind of like fold some of your sweaters that you were wearing during the day, or just, I don't know, dump your laundry and then get them ready for your closet to be folded. And so it's a really functional space, but also has some decorative accessories because we just love to be surrounded by beautiful things. And yes, we both have different ideas of how to keep everything tidy, but that's why each one has their own side, and we make it look as best as possible.
It's actually cool because it's big enough for us to both be in here getting dressed at the same time without feeling like we're in each other's way. So it's been a really great space for us. When we invite people into our home, we want it to be a place where it sparks ideas and other creative people are having conversation, and that sort of this brainstorming of what we did and how that would work in their projects, and just a really creative place for people to enjoy sort of sparking ideas.
We want them to feel comfortable. We want them to feel relaxed and enjoy and be curious about things that they see on the wall, ask questions. We want this place to be kind of like a conversation starter. So there's always something that you can talk about. They can kick off their shoes, they can get comfortable, they can enjoy a beautiful glass of wine or something that we prepare in the kitchen. We want them to just enjoy their time here.
Again, of course, that's a lot of because we spend our time with other people who are creative and do insane, creative, fun things, and this always feels like a space where you can sort of talk about that and brainstorm through it and just be interested in things, which is nice.
And I think we also achieve that by creating a space that we both love and value, and I think if you value something and you appreciate it, other people appreciate the same thing, and they also understand that love and desire for it. And so I think that kind of like caters also to how much we value spending time with these people that we invite to our home.